Thank you everybody for joining us today for Navigating the ISA Convention. My name is Sarah Dorr. I work as the ISA's Director of Professional Development. I'm here today with Catherine Wright Newcastle, Devika Misra, Liam Midzain Gobin, and Mary Hartford, who is also of ISA. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to ask all of the panelists to introduce themselves and to say something about their role and history with ISA. And then we're going to move into the questions that everybody submitted in advance. So if you have another question that comes to mind, please feel free to put it in the chat or in the Q&A. So Catherine, shall we start with you? Can you tell us something about your role and history with ISA?
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. So I'm a senior lecturer at Newcastle University, which is in the not so sunny northeast of England. I've been going to ISA. I think my first one was 2012 or 2013, so quite a few years under my belt. I used to chair the committee on the status of women, so I organised the Pay It Forward programme for a couple of years, and I was also a member of the Academic Freedom Committee, and stepping down fairly recently from that role. Thank you.
Liam?
Sure, thanks. My name is Liam Midzain Gobin. I'm an assistant professor at Brock University in Ontario in Canada. And I was just looking quickly, and this is actually I think my 9th ISA. And I've been to every one. So I started in 2015 and I've been to each one since then, with the exceptions of 2020, which was canceled, and 2018. And I've been more involved within the regions a little bit, but so I haven't been quite as involved with Central ISA, but I've learned a lot about navigating the convention every year. So I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Devika?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm super glad that we're having this conversation. I teach in India. I'm an assistant professor. I think that makes me a lecturer. I don't know how that would navigate at OP Jindal Global University, which is this university in the Delhi region. And I'm also a part of the Committee on the Status of Women at ISA, as well as a member at large of the Women's Caucus right now. And I've been working very closely with the Global South Caucus, with the Latin American Studies section, because that's what my research is about. And I just think, and I'm not that old in the ISA attendance mandate, because it takes a while to figure out how to do that when you are in the Global South. I think I only went to my first ISA in 2019, and it was a regional ISA, but I've been going every year since. So very excited about having this space and having this group of panelists to talk about how to make it a less scary experience and a more meaningful one, hopefully.
Okay. And Mary?
Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Hartford. I work with ISA's organizational systems team. I started with ISA in 2016, and the exception of 1 year while I was teaching, I've been there with ISA ever since. The systems team is responsible for just all things technological for ISA. We also do program support to conference program chairs and teams. And I am the primary person on my team who supports annual convention program chairs. But my whole team is very deeply enmeshed in pretty much everything involving the convention. We're here for you for all your questions.
And if you have a question, it probably will end up ultimately being answered by Mary's team, the systems team. But really what we have today is we have a bunch of different perspectives on how to navigate the convention. So we have perspectives from scholars coming in, and we also have advice from headquarters. So I am going to start with the question, and it's a very broad question. Do you have any tips or recommendations for first-time attendees? And that's an open question that goes to whoever would like to answer it. Okay, Devika?
Yeah, I think this is a great question because and actually this is a really good way to bond with people whom you will meet at ISA. The first thing that I would say is a lot of people do this, especially when you're coming from the Global South universities, wherever they might be located in the world, because it's a real expense to get to ISA. You don't really know many of the big scholars whom you've obviously marked on your program. You try to attend every panel. My big recommendation would be to try and find peer support. Try and look for people who are the same stage as you. It doesn't matter whether you meet the big scholars or you don't. Actually, everybody is fairly nice. All the senior people whom I have ever met at any big ISA, they're very aware that they're supposed to be mentoring people. And a lot of them are extremely nice and they're very happy to talk to you and to share information. But because this is such a big convention, it's overwhelmingly busy. So I would say look for the people who feel like you do and who are as nervous as you are. And it doesn't matter wherever they might be from in the world, whatever they are working on. You don't have to only talk to people who do the same research that you do. Just talk to somebody who looks as scared as you do. And those conversations can really help. Because peer support is how you should build your ISA conference. Okay, this is your first time, but the next time around, these are the people whom you can share rooms with. These are the people whom you can set up round tables with. These are the people whom you can, decide on like, okay, how do I get my paper into ISA? Because even though there are so many papers and panels, a lot of people get rejected and it can be very hard to take that rejection as a young scholar. So peer support. And the second big advice that I'll give is just be open. Don't try to attend every panel and feel that, okay, I paid so much money to get to the conference. I'm going to go and sit into every panel. I'm going to make sure that, I don't do anything else the entire conference. Go for the panels which seem interesting. Spend a lot of time in the lobby. Spend a lot of time in the, I remember ISA started this coffee break room thing where you can just go and chill for a while. You'll meet people there. And most importantly, find out about all the free dinners, all the mixers that are happening. Go get a drink there. You'll get some free snacks. And that's a place that's heavily populated by people like you. And they are going to be your big support system at ISA. So even though everybody looks like they are very sorted, don't let that be daunting. Everybody is scared. I've been going for it for, I think, 6-7 years now. I'm still scared. It takes a lot to plan this. But your peers are just as important, if not more important, than anybody else that you might want to network with. Because these are the people who 5, 6 years, 10 years down the line are going to make ISA for you. So if you invest in that, it's going to be really, really helpful and it's good for the nerves. I'll stop there.
Devika, I really like how your comments highlighted that there are both structured opportunities at ISA in terms of panels and events, as well as unstructured opportunities to network. And that's the free coffee breaks that take place in the exhibit hall, as well as stopping into various sections, receptions, and even just grabbing a coffee with people that you meet. So there's a lot of opportunities to network and they can be done in different ways. Liam, I see you nodding a lot. Do you want to add to the first question?
No. So that was an excellent response. And I want to pick up on one of the threads that Devika put out there. And really, when I was thinking this through and when we got the questions, my first thought was don't try to be everywhere all the time, and take the time to really make not just the conference what you want of it, but to really be able to like let yourself process what you are learning about. Because at the end of the day, with as many panels as there are and as many interesting people as there are, you need to not only be able to remember all of it, but like you also need to be a person and need to be able to enjoy your time at the conference. And so I think like my problem or my fault the first time I went was just sort of like, well, I've got many pieces of advice of what not to do. But one of them was like, I just highlighted 2 or 3 panels in every single session that I was like, oh, I want to go to those. And then I was kind of overcome with like all of the different places I wanted to be. And the last, maybe not last year, but for a few years there, I really like realized like, okay, I want to keep breaks in my schedule so that I can just grab a coffee or just like honestly sometimes go to my room and be in silence for a little bit because it's exhausting. Or like in Chicago, they have wonderful modern art all over, like all kinds of like institutions with wonderful modern art. So I'm going to go see some of that just out in the city. And so there are those kinds of things that like I really recommend building into your day.
Thank you, Liam. And I agree with you in cautioning that people don't need to attend every panel. Not everybody is attending every panel. Don't get in your head that everybody's doing that and you're going to miss out, because a lot of what happens and the relationships that you'll build will take place both inside the panels and outside. Catherine, did you want to add anything to this question, or oh yes, the hands up.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can just a couple of things, and just to agree completely with Devika and Liam and all their points. And I think it's also worth, if you can, having one or two friends that you can just rely on to just go and sit with if you're going to sit somewhere in the hotel, if you need that bit of quiet, or if you try and go for dinner with your panel and it falls through, you've got those friends as a bit of network to fall back on. And if you don't have those friends at ISA yet, then this is kind of the year to make them. So I think engaging with the section that most of your panels are part of, or one of the caucuses, can be a really good way to get to know people. And going to the section meetings or the caucus meetings, they're not always that well attended, but that can be a really good way just to get chatting with people. And I think I didn't work that out probably for about 5 years, but it kind of transformed my ISA experience.
And for those of you who may not be familiar with sections and caucuses at ISA, they are, in a sense, smaller communities within the broader organization. And so if you're looking to connect within a smaller group, that's a great way to do it. And you can attend their business meetings. They're available to everybody, especially if you want to get involved in a section. So I would encourage you to look into that as well. All right. Liam, you mentioned your schedule. So I think this would be a good time to look into how attendees can put together their schedule and navigate what's going on. Mary, are you okay to take us through that?
I will share my desktop screen. Most of you can maybe see that my face is up here twice. And one of those is from my phone because I'm going to demonstrate the app as well. But there are two components to putting together your schedule, and they are both good. Hold on a second, please. All right, everybody, this is browse program page from convention. If you have not found this yet, you can reach it from the 2025 homepage. Just scroll down and click check out the program. My screen, especially at the top and side, is going to look a little different than yours because I have my admin set up here and didn't have a chance to set this up for testing purposes. But it's all better because I can walk you through what's pretty much my real schedule, which is good. And so right here, program browser, you can pretty much look up anything you want. If you've tried to look for the program PDF recently, you'll notice that it's offline temporarily, but that's actually okay because the program PDF is never current. It's only current when we print it, but this program list is always completely up to date. And so when you first come here, this will be collapsed like this. You'll have to click on it to expand to search. Here you can search by keyword. You can search by a particular date if you're looking for something to fill a date. And then you have all sorts of other options. You can narrow it down by item type. The sponsor, keywords right here. These are all the keywords in our system. It's a long list, so if you're interested in something, you probably just want to start typing in what it is. And then check it. You can also look for participants. Let's see. I like Sarah Dorr. Let's see what she's presenting at the conference. And then just hit apply search. And oh, look at this. Sarah Dorr has all sorts of wonderful programming on schedule for professional development. So for any of these results, we just click here on this symbol is our little open and chat symbol for something. It indicates that there's more information behind it. We have this one. Oh, look, I am on a panel with Sarah. And so this is one thing you'll notice that if you come to visit something where you are on, I am only on here for demonstration purposes. I'm not actually chairing this this wonderful session that you should definitely go to if it's something that interests you, by the way. It will say participant up here if you're a part of it in the system. So you can kind of differentiate between. For the one that you aren't, you'll notice that they have these symbols right here. And this one will add something to your schedule. And then this one will add it to your favorites. And I like the favorites because it answers a point that everyone made, which is that do not try to schedule yourself for everything. But you say, there's so much interesting. How am I just supposed to, how can I decide now what to do? And what if I forget? What if I'm interested in all these things? And then when I'm actually building my schedule, I forget what they are. That's cool. Just add them to favorites. And that way you can do a couple of filters. I'll show you when you're trying to decide your schedule for each day. So right up here, you'll see quick filters, show all, show future only. That helps if, like, say it's Tuesday at the convention, you only want to see stuff that's happening the next 2 days. You don't have to wait for all of the Sunday and Monday and stuff. Stuff that's on your schedule, and favorites. So say I wake up and I'm deciding, okay, what do I want to go to today? Let's look at all the stuff that I favorited. Now, there's nothing showing up here for some reason. I think it's because I just recently added a bunch of things, but it will, let me just show a different view that will help out on my schedule, like this. Did I take off? Oh, that's why. Just kidding. So whatever you have up here in the search will actually apply to what comes up there. So let me just clear this stuff first. All right, now let's try this. Favorites. So it shows me all the things I've added as favorites. And I'm like, okay, well, I do want to go to this today. I got Monday. And like, I think I can fit this on my schedule. And then you just click here to add it to your schedule. Boom. You have now turned your favorites, narrowed it down into the, 1 or 2 panels that you feel like you can go to that day. If you want to see what's actually been added to your schedule, just filter it here. Scroll down. And again, if it's something that you are a participant on, or if it is an event that you've been added to the attendees list of, you will show up as participant here on the right. For any of these views, you can export them to a PDF. So if you need it in a different format, you can do it that way. And then this also changes some stuff that you have on your schedule here. Forgive me, I take put on my glasses for a second. So this is your schedule. You can get to it by clicking your schedule at the top of the program. You can also get to it directly from the convention homepage. See your schedule. And so right now, the first thing you notice is that there are, I'm going to refresh it because I have some favorites on there now. And you'll notice that there are 2 different general types of colors. You've got the blues and you've got the kind of like burnt orange, brownish colors. All the blues are sessions. They're basically panels, roundtables, regular program slots. And everything that's in that kind of orange color, those are all events. They're things that aren't technically on the program, but they're things like meetings, receptions, and whatnot. And so right now, by default, this does not show your favorites, because what if you want to add, you're like, if I get a catalog in the mail, I just like circle everything in it, and then I have to go back to it. And the same way with a convention schedule, like I want to mark everything that I like. And so this allows you to kind of keep your schedule clean, but click favorites toggle up here. You can also look at where things that you favorited might fit in. And now you note that there's a few different colors. So for the blue stuff, this is the CV to Resume Lab, this dark blue one. And because I'm a participant, This is showing up in dark blue. This item that's kind of in a medium blue is something that I'm not a participant on, but I have put it on my schedule. And then the lightest color here is something that's just on my favorites. I haven't added it to my schedule yet. And so I can do that from here. You have the same buttons. I can remove it from my favorites, add it to my schedule. You can do all the cleanup over here. So it's just another good tool for setting yourself up. Again, you have some print options here. You can print a summary version of your schedule. You can print just your favorites, or you can print everything. You can print the full details. The favorites won't show up in the full details of the summary, just again to kind of help you separate things that you've already decided to go versus things that you're interested in. And that's pretty much, unless anybody has any questions about this part in particular. I don't know, Sarah, do you want me to just go into the app or do you want to wait on this one?
Let me just see if there's any questions coming in on this. But essentially, I would recommend using the schedule, using the features in the ISA website to organize your schedule because it will help keep you, see what you have when. But it does take a little bit of practice. It's not hard to do, but it does take a little practice to fiddle around and learn how the system works. There's a question, can we filter somewhere to just show panels, not individual papers?
Yes, so in here, if you have papers added as favorites or on your schedule, they will show up here and you can't filter them out. But in this part, yes, you can just click to search and refine results, and then just select panels from this. And then it won't give you any papers that are on the thing. You can still open it and you can look at the authors who are on the panel, but it'll give you the paper details down here if you want them, but it won't like clutter up your search interface.
And then Mary, can you expand that again?
Sure.
I just want to show everybody that in that green box at the top upper right-hand corner of your screen, that is the location of where the panel is taking place. That was one of the questions that came in as well.
And we are this week going to be putting links into these so that you will be able to click from here. And also the same for the on the app. You'll be able to click the link and it will show you a map, the appropriate floor map for the hotel. Look, Jim's like, I've been waiting for this forever. So it'll show you the appropriate floor map for the hotel to help you on your way. We just have to get all of those loaded into the system.
Okay, and there was one other question on the calendar. Can we download our ISA calendar into our Outlook calendar?
Yes. I think you could at one point. Let me see if that's still. I think that they had to disable that temporarily because of some of the updates that we made. But you do have the ability from the app to add items direct from the program directly in your phone's device, your device calendar, basically. And I'll show you that when we show the app.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mary. So I think we should take a break from the screen for a minute and go back to some of the other questions. So let's see. What is the deadline for paper submissions for presenters? I can go ahead and take this briefly, and then so the thing about paper submissions is that if you want your panel or your chair to be able to read them, you need to submit them far enough in advance so that they can read them. So I would recommend at least a week, but more would be helpful for them. There are instructions in the chat with how you can connect with your chair and your fellow panelists, but I would say the earlier the better to send your paper along if you want the greatest chance for them to look at it. Liam, Catherine, Devika, do you want to add in anything to this question?
I would like to just talk a little bit about this, the paper, because it's very daunting when you're first coming to ISA and you feel like you have to write the best paper. It has to be the most published thing and most polished thing that you have ever written, because otherwise everybody is going to judge you and your chair will think you're stupid. I don't know. I had these thoughts when I had first sent in my paper. I just want you to know that if you submit a written paper, which is as honestly as you can do it, honestly, like put some effort into it. I'm not telling you to like take it very easy. That's it. Nobody's going to think that you're not smart. Nobody's going to think you're not you're not made for academia. You're not made for the space. The entire point of coming to a conference is to get feedback. Now, should you potentially put in work into your paper? Yes, especially if you are a first-time attendee. I strongly recommend, and in case if you're a graduate student or a PhD student, for the rest of you who might not be from the US, where you use this terminology, you should definitely work on your paper as much as you can, because it's a really good way, again, to network with senior people. Because when you meet with these scholars who are maybe chairs on your panels, or maybe very interesting people who would ask you questions who are attending your panels, and you're very new, you really don't know how to, it can be scary to go and introduce yourself and talk about your research. A really good way is to say, oh, I really like the comment that you made on my paper. Would you mind taking a look at my paper? Nobody says no. They may or may not get back to you, but nobody has ever said, no, I don't want to read your paper. I just wanted to ask a question here because it made me feel cool. No. If they've asked you a question, they clearly kind of align a little bit with your research. They want to encourage you. So then if you have a paper, the mindset is, okay, let me wait a month and I will go and rework this and then I will send it. Don't do that, because people forget. So a really good way to build support, to build kind of a network after the conference, is to have a paper. And again, it's something which you can ask your peers to look at. And I know I can see Catherine has a hand raised, and she'll probably say something much more poignant about this. I just want to add one more point about the schedule that Mary mentioned. Again, connected to that point about peer support. When you meet people whom you like and you have a vibe with, just ask them, okay, when are you presenting? So everybody goes for the big panels and the fancy, well-established scholars. The people who really need an audience are the new people, right? Are people like you who might be first-timers, who might be on panels which are scheduled very early morning on the last day of the conference. It's a maze. So show up for your friends' panels, show up for, I have made every friend I have at ISA, thanks to somebody meeting me somewhere and talking about what I was going to say, and me going for their panels and them coming for mine. In fact, now the schedule looks like just going for panels, which my friends might be presenting in. So think about, put people first before putting anything else first in terms of your ISA experience. Stop here.
Okay, Catherine?
Thanks, Sarah. So I'm probably well, I agree with you, Sarah, definitely at least a week before to send your paper. I'm probably going to disagree slightly with Devika's approach. I don't think you actually need a full paper. So I know particularly kind of early career researchers and PhD students, you've got a lot of other things going on. If it's getting really stressful, the best advice I ever had from my PhD supervisor at my first one was just write a 2-page summary of your key points. The other thing I would say, and having been to a few ISAs, and I guess, most people are friendly and you can trust them, but I would be slightly mindful of who I share a more advanced paper with that hasn't been published. So I usually only send a fuller paper to the chair or discussant. I don't send it to the whole panel. That just makes me feel a bit more comfortable about things. And then, if something happens to your ideas, you've got that paper trail you can kind of follow up on. So I think, just take some of the stress out of it, but also be mindful in in what ideas you're willing to share, particularly if those ideas haven't got your name next to them in another space. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Catherine. And I would agree that you don't need to have a complete paper in order to present. That's why you're going to ISA, to get that feedback from people. If you don't need it anymore, if the paper's been published, then why are you there, right? So it's really great to take advantage of projects that are still ongoing and you're working on to get that feedback that you need to complete them. All right, so next question that came in. What are some common mistakes, in quotes, mistakes, for first-time conference goers, or things you wish you had done the first time? Liam?
Yeah, sure. So here's where I say that my first ISA was when I was in the, so I did a 2-year master's, a 2-year research master's, and it was in the second year of my master's. And so I'm like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed master's student, very excited about going to like a big conference for the first time. And it was not only me trying to pack my schedule, but also me thinking that this was a place where you really went to like network with big scholars. And I think one of the things I've learned is that what is much more valuable is to especially echo what Devika said and what Catherine said of like, you got to find your people. And sometimes those are people that are directly in your field of research. And that for me was going to panels that looked really interesting, that had scholars on them whose work I was reading, who might not be the like biggest names in the field, but who I was regularly like thinking were coming out with some really, really cool things. Some of that is, I went and I had nobody from my program, but a couple of friends at another university that I knew who were going to be there. And so we just went to each other's panels and like I learned a ton and then got connected to other younger scholars, some of whom I'm still really close with and make a point of going for dinner with like this time coming up. And I think if I can say anything, the biggest thing that I learned out of that first one, the biggest mistake I made was not really putting in an effort to like find my people as my primary goal. Presented and all of that as well. But I think like it's a huge conference. I mean, Mary, you were saying it's expected to have about 6,000 people. Like you're not going to meet everybody. And it also means that some of the highest profile people are going to be really busy with a lot of demands. And so the more you can do to like try to figure out who your people are there, that could be through a caucus, that could be through a section, that could be wherever, just at a certain panel, the more quickly you're going to find those connections that are going to be useful, maybe later on, maybe for other work, but definitely just as like a support group as well.
Devika?
Yeah, so I completely agree with what Liam has just said. And I also agree with what Catherine said. I think my definition of a well-prepared paper is very different from these big, super published academics. I just mean, a paper which you feel like you've written something, as long as your ideas are there, like you have an argument. It shouldn't be something too basic as well, because I'll tell you where I'm coming from. It makes you feel underconfident. You're more scared when you don't have something written down. So if you have your argument ready, that's good enough. That's enough to go and build your paper. And you should be building a paper, as Sarah said, and not trying to, wow with your paper. I have some very basic tips for things which I didn't do, which I really, really regret. Firstly, especially if you're coming from, and you're all going to, I'm assuming a lot of the first-time attendees are PhD scholars, who don't have adequate grants, who don't have a lot of money, no matter where you are based in the world. Carry snacks, have snacks in your bag. Okay, this is a very useful tip. Put snacks in your bag, carry your own water. Sometimes it might be too far. Make sure that you don't faint, so you have food. Don't feel pressured. If somebody invites you for a cup of coffee, or if you're hanging out with people and they go to a place which clearly seems unaffordable, and I'm saying this as somebody who lives in India. I have a salary. I'm a professional, but even today, my money means very little in the US. So don't be ashamed to say, you know what, I can't really afford this $10 coffee, which I don't even like. It's not something I enjoy. Nobody will think badly of you. And if they think badly of you, I would just say maybe they're not the right whom you should be talking to. Okay, don't put yourself out financially in this situation. Prepare in terms of how to best make use of your rather limited resources at ISA, in the very real sense of surviving the conference. The other important thing I would say is I saw a question about social media. So I know that recently we had that email from ISA, which I think Sarah can talk a little bit more about, that how, thanks to what's going on in the world, and especially what's going on in the US since Trump got elected, there's a shift from Twitter. I have found Twitter super duper useful for just finding information about ISA. Follow the pages. They're on Blue Sky now, but I think at least for this ISA, you can still hope that a lot of people will still be using Twitter. LinkedIn, connecting, I saw a question there that should I connect with people potentially on LinkedIn? Sure, if they're up for it, why not? It's just a request that you're sending. What's the worst that can happen? And if it's a senior scholar, you can just follow them, and then you can basically stalk them on social media, and you can kind of follow them if you're really, really that committed. But Twitter is great. That information about where are the mixers, where are the meetings, closer to the date of the conference, all of that kind of starts showing up on the schedule. And you can kind of earmark which meetings you want to go for. You should go for all mixers. And the beauty of ISA is that everybody keeps getting progressively a little bit drunker as you go from one mixer to the other. So soon you have a group, and you just have to follow a group to the other group. One thing that I had done, which I found very useful, because it's very, very cheap in India to get little visiting cards made. Like, it costs nothing. It costs maybe like $2 to get 200 cards made. It was super cheap for me. So I had those little cards, and it made me feel very professional. You don't have to do that. Have a buddy, this point that Catherine and Liam both made. But also remember that the people who are at your stage are also extremely hungry, not in terms of real hunger, just in terms of professional hunger, mentorship. So these are also people who will be competing with you. So you have to be able to figure out that, okay, maybe this is not the right energy for me, and then redirect yourself. Don't be afraid to walk away, even if it feels really safe to hang out with somebody. You feel alone. You feel like, oh, I'm just going to be a ghost at this crowd. Don't worry. Don't put your sanity and your mental health over anything else. Okay, you will find people, and everybody is slightly lonely at ISA, even if you have very good connections, and even if you've been there forever. It is a tiring conference. You need naps, as Liam was mentioning, and I know from spending a lot of ISAs with Catherine, you need to go to your room and take a nap sometimes. And the last little bit that I'll say about what should you not do at your first ISA. It's an investment in terms of what your career is going to be. Everything doesn't need to be done at one conference. Don't compare your journey with somebody else's. So, for example, I met a grad student at one of my very first ISAs who was from Switzerland. She was in Geneva. And the kind of grants she had as a PhD student for conferences, I don't have them even now as a full faculty. So it can be very isolating when it can feel a lot. It can feel very jarring. I remember it made me feel like I will never catch up. I will never ever be comfortable with navigating the space where I was clearly like, I was struggling for things like, oh, should I eat breakfast or should I eat lunch? Or something like, oh yeah, and get a hotel which gives you free breakfast. So then one meal is sorted. But don't compare your journey with anyone's. You go and do things that you want to do. Some of them you'll manage to do, some of them you won't, and some things will just magically happen, which you could have in no way manifested. So just go with joy, go with some very basic preparation, and go with the sense of flow. That's my big advice. Don't try and do everything at your very first ISA. Okay, yeah, let's stop there.
Okay, thank you, Devika. Catherine?
Yeah, I'm just thinking back to my first ISA and then reflecting on kind of other panels that I've sat in. And I think I was so nervous about presenting that I just read out pretty much word for word my paper. And looking back, this was the worst possible thing I could do. And having sat in the audience, there's nothing more frustrating than when you're coming, you've read a really interesting title and abstract, and then someone just stands there in monotone and reads it out. So do try and think a little bit about your presenting. I don't mean that to put pressure on you, but hopefully to take it off. Just have a few prompt cards. It's probably only 3 points that you're going to be able to get across during your presentation. So just think, what are the 3 key things that I want people to come away with about my research, and stick to that. Don't overthink it. If there's something interesting you want people to follow up on, flag that, say I'm happy to answer more in the Q&A. And the thing to know is that people will come up to you afterwards as well, and likely ask you questions and continue that conversation. Thank you.
Liam?
Yeah, just to actually really follow up on what Catherine just said, because it was kind of running through my mind too. In the panels, when you go to them and you've got one that you're not presenting on, but you're in the audience and somebody makes a point that you either want to hear more about or you want to talk to them after, you should totally feel free to ask a question in the Q&A. Like we are all there because we've written way more than we can actually say in the 12 to 15 minutes that we're allotted. And we're all, I'm sure, happy to talk about our research. But if you're not comfortable asking, especially if you're early in your career, it's your first time and you're not comfortable asking a question kind of in the broad group, especially if it's a big room, people will love it if you come up to them after and ask them a question one-on-one. Like that is one of the best ways to really, as I said before, like find your people, but like that's a way to really connect with somebody, especially somebody who is, you know, younger in their career, earlier on, somebody who might not be getting the attention of the big name on a panel. Like that's a really, really great way to connect with people. And then, you know, an easy way to be like, oh, why don't we go grab coffee in the lobby, or go to one of the like coffee breaks, or wander the exhibit hall to like see some of the booksellers and kind of just be able to like have another thing that you're doing with people that doesn't require constantly being engaged, but able to kind of like spend time with people. Like that's a way to kind of transition into those kinds of activities that can be useful.
All right, thank you, Liam. Mary, I'd like to turn towards the app now, as we're getting near to the end of our time.
Okay. So this is the ISA convention app. You can find it by searching on either the App Store or the Google Play Store. The name of the app is ISANet Events. You log into it. When it first opens, you'll have a login. You can see I'm not going to log out because it'll probably be the time my password manager decides to log me out, and you don't want to watch me fumble with that for 5 minutes. But when you first open the app, it will ask you for your login. It is the same login information that you use on ISANet. Please remember that your ISANet login is not your email address. It is your ISANet username. If you have lost this information, please contact us at the systems team. I'll put that address up in there, but we can help you get back in. Please, oh, please do not create a new ISANet account. If you already have one, it will cause you problems with all of your conference information. But if you have already done so, please, again, contact the systems team as soon as possible, and we'll merge your accounts for you. But when you first log in, obviously you'll have to, that's not what I want. You can select your conference from this menu right here. The past ones are collapsed by default. You may or may not see these past ones on there. After a certain time, we remove them from access, but we've had them up for testing. But click on Chicago and it will load. there are a bunch of different functions here. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant to just back up. When you first log in, you have to accept the ISA policies and code of conduct before you can proceed. If you decline to accept it, it won't let you access the conference. So you'll see one more screen before you log in. But anyway, this is pretty much the main screen for each conference on the app. You've got some welcome text. You can see there's some buttons, and you have your hamburger menu over here, where you can get PDFs, like the program PDF, events, maps. You can access the program directly from this menu, but it's easier to do it from the main page. And I'll show you a couple of the other items on here in a second. But when you first come, you have your checking in. When you click on this, it will tell you some information about check-in, where it is, how your name is going to look. This is important. So your badge will be printed on site. We have a badge printer this year. It is amazing. What you can see right there under name badge information, that is exactly how your badge is going to print out, with the exception of the name and affiliation headings. My badge will print out Mary Hartford, underneath it, International Studies Association. If this information is incorrect, please go to your ISANet profile and correct it before you go on site, because we can't control it directly. It will print whatever's in your profile. So up at the top, you just easy access to searching the program. The search bar right here, you can type in whatever. Since we had a question about coffee breaks, we're going to search for coffee. And sometimes searching from this bar takes a little longer than actually going directly to the conference program. I think it might be reloading the program after my last login. There we go. So we'll do this again. But so you can see you have your exhibit hall coffee breaks. Nice little list. Say I want to know what's going on a particular day. I can click on here, go to filters. There are a bunch of different types of filters in here. They're pretty much the same filters that you see in the Browse program on the website. Keywords, participants, sponsoring organization, item type, etc. Clear this out. So when the program loads, by default, it just loads whatever the next upcoming event is. On the website, it will load everything. On the app, it will by default only load stuff that happens in the future, just to kind of make it easier for you to see. But you can do I gotta find something that I'm just trying to narrow it by panels so I don't have. And so I can load. So there are some things that you won't be able to add, like things, the past courses that were initially going on, those are separate registration. So you can't add them directly to your own schedule. But looking at panels here, same thing, they come up. You have those same icons, add them to your schedule or your favorite. As of right now, there is no way to the filters for favorite and schedule in this, same way there are on ISANet. We're still working on that function. But you can still add them from here if there's something that catches your eye while you're browsing. You'll just have to go to your web browser later on to look up what else we're looking at. But same thing, you click on details. It has the same options. You'll see there's an additional option up here at the top, add to device calendar, which does what it says. It will ask you for permission access first. For the first time. After that, it shouldn't. But the same thing, you have the blue box with the when and the where, the participant, the abstract, and then the paper details down here. And then you can go, if you look at the bottom, there's like a quick menu, so you don't have to go all the way back to the home screen, where you go home, the program, or your schedule. I'm going to click on the My Schedule one. So it gives you this calendar view. It's right now it's looking at February, it's looking at today. But if I click on, let's say, the 3rd, then you can click this arrow right here. It's kind of hard to, I know there's annotation tools, but I cannot go back and forth. If you look to the right of where it says 3 March 2025, there's an up arrow that will enable you to put it on the whole screen instead of having half of it taken up by the calendar view. But it'll tell you your agenda for today, for that day. It doesn't have the same color coding as the map online does. It will show things that it will list everything here, it will list both your favorites and your schedule and things that you're a participant on. But you can still pretty much do all the same thing and search the things on the program. So like Sarah said before, it's beneficial to set up a schedule on the website first, on the web app in a browser. And then you can use the app to make tweaks, browse things, have a quick reference while you're working. To home. And so those are pretty much the important things. You can also access venue maps from here. Pretty much everything, both the local area map and then all of the different floor maps. And at the end is a list of, it's the meeting room index. Basically, it just lists all the meeting room alphabetically and tells you what hotel they're in. We will also have a version of this on site as well. So don't worry about, we know there's a lot of rooms and there's a lot to think about here. You'll notice it opens it up as a PDF. However, your particular phone is set to open PDFs and web pages from apps is going to affect how this behaves. But if you have any trouble with any of this, please just come see us. The systems team will have a support desk in the same place where registration and badge pickup is, where we can assist you with this or any other issues you're having with the conference system, ISA, any of it. There's 6 more buttons down there. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can look at the code of conduct if you need a refresher. There's a link to the conference FAQs, conference announcements will be under news. There's the contact us, which will give you a form where you can send a message. It will go to the main ISANet email. The events and meetings just go to a PDF, which is only the events and meetings. And then if you want to see who's going to be in our exhibit hall and who's our sponsors, we have this right here. And that is, oh, wait a second, sorry. One more thing, 2 more things. This, you'll see here we have business card. This will allow you to share contact information, business card information with other people. So if you want to share, if you meet somebody and then you don't have regular business cards, you want to share something with your name and email address with them real quick. You can open this up and somebody, has their own app open and then they can scan QR code. This QR code won't read outside of this app. So it's not like you can just scan it with something else, but if you want to scan someone else's, if you look at the top next to where it says near the top next to where it says log out, you have scan ISA business card. And you just click there to scan somebody else's. But, oh, wow, showing me, stop. That's the app. Any questions?
Thank you, Mary. I shared the links to the app so you can download from the Apple Play Store or the Google Play Store in the chat. Catherine needed to head out, but she sends her regards to everybody and thanks them for their questions. We are getting near to the end of our time, so I just want to follow up with 2 more virtual events that we are hosting this month that are related to the convention. So this Thursday, we are hosting a virtual workshop called Teaching Day at ISA, an ISA network and agenda setting workshop. This is Teaching Day is a new program, let's say, at ISA, and it's all about the about teaching, about pedagogy, how to teach. Liam, I don't know if you want to say a few words about it, as I know you're involved in it as well. No? Okay. So the link is in the chat to sign up for that if you'd like to learn more about that. And then we also have a session on February 24th called a Classroom Game Design Primer. This is interesting because the host of this session, the instructor of this session, is going to be talking a little bit about the pop-up simulation that he will be running at the ISA convention. And the simulation is called Ashes of Winter Night, and it is a crisis simulation about a fire. So if you're interested in learning about some of the pop-ups that will be happening at the event, please do stay tuned and join that session. And I'm just going to thank you all for your questions at this point, and thank you to Liam and Mary and Catherine and Devika for their excellent comments. And I want to end with one final piece of advice, and that would be to stay connected with ISA throughout the year, even apart from the convention. So don't be a stranger with ISA. We run a lot of virtual programming throughout the year, and it's a really great way to get involved and be connected with the organization and to be active and to maintain that community that you create at the convention. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. And we will see you in Chicago. Don't be a stranger. Come say hi. I look forward to meeting you all and enjoy. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye now.